Hi guys, and welcome back from Carly at the Herbothecary. Really good to see you guys again. If you're new to the channel or like the videos, please show your support by hitting like and subscribe down below. So today's video is a little bit different, but it's an answer to the question I keep getting in the comments about how we manage to fit in all these bits into our day, especially by those who know that I also have a full-time job. I am in the unique position where my shifts do vary. Sometimes I do a split shift like today, so I'm going to do a sleepover tonight, and I'm in the unique position where I can take the potion making to work with me and finish it there. So this is a day in the life of the Herbothecary, I guess. Now, I do have a busy week next week, so I've got lots to do today. Sunday, 10th of October, and autumn is definitely upon us. So, my day starts with a quick walk around the garden as it's quite early. No one else is awake yet. So, cup of tea in hand, I'm just going to go around and inspect if there's any jobs that need doing now before it gets too cold. Any jobs that I can do for today, like that patch of ground needs reseeding as the kids play mostly in that area. And the fairy garden could do with a tidy up. So, I'm just going to have a potter around and have a think, reflect, and make my plans for the rest of the day. So once I've done the garden, it's then into the conservatory as my greenhouse isn't quite finished yet. I do have some trays started in there, and I've got some seeds planted on top of the compost bin, so hopefully those will come up. I'm just covering them with these old bits of plastic greenhouse or polycarb greenhouse to try and keep some heat in. And then I've got my cuttings that I started, including my St. John's wort, which I'm very, very proud of. Oh, there's a huge spider. So everything's starting in there. That bin is going to go in the back, and it's going to be a rocket heater so that the greenhouse is heated throughout winter. I've then got my fruit trees, and inside I've got lots of seedlings started, my cucumber, my tomato cuttings, we've got some courgettes, 2 different types of melon, my lemon tree, and I've got some of the runners or suckers of the tomatoes that I've just popped in water, and hopefully those will root so I can plant them up like the 2 in the back. It's about 8:30 now, so it's time to get my harvest in the house, my mega harvest, as I'm pretty sure the little man will be up very soon. We didn't get a lot, we got a few tomatoes. Those green ones came off by mistake, but maybe they'll still ripen. We've got some of the golden fall berries and a couple of apples. Technically that was cheating as they were from my neighbor's garden. As predicted, the human alarm clock was wide awake. You want a cuddle? And as he demands at least 10 minutes of just him time in the morning, it's time to have a play with him, and then we'll go wake up his sisters. I then have 10 minutes to carry on playing with Vincent and have a quick tidy up of the front room, which is a never-ending battle with these two, as every time I tidy something, they come and undo it. Now, normally by the time that's done, they've calmed down a little bit, and I have a minute to knock up breakfast. Today we're having pancakes, so it's quick, easy, and I've got to get to work in a minute. It's an ongoing joke in my family that I shouldn't drive because I'm too easily distracted, and today was a great example of that. I didn't expect to do any foraging, but on my journey I came across these puffballs. They're only baby ones, not giant ones, but they're so tasty. Obviously, I do advise do your own research thoroughly before picking mushrooms, but I'm going to bring these ones home and process them later. I sliced them through to make sure they were completely white and hadn't started sporing yet, so I knew they were safe. I've cut them into like steak chunks. It feels very much like mozzarella cheese, and I tried to remove the skin and then pop them in a freezer bag, and I'm going to pop these into freeze so I can use them at a later date. I would like to try these ones first myself before I try them with the family. Now we like to keep our waste or rubbish that we throw away to a minimum, so we invested in these reusable silicone freezer bags. They're absolutely genius. When you're done, you just wash them off and reuse them. A quick check on the apples that we sliced and dehydrated. They look like they could do with another couple of hours, so we'll pop that back on, and then it's time to go for a walk around the house and check on our chilies and all the stuff that I grow here. Now, we do grow a lot of aloe here, but that's because we use it for wound care. We're also growing some tomato cuttings that I took indoors, some weird things like kiwis, and then we have a selection of chilies that we grow, Moruga scorpion, one chocolate one, a peach one, melon one, and as you can see, they're flowering. But what we do with this is we use the chilies, the capsaicin in the chilies, for both a pain cream balm, and we put it in spicy chilies, but it is also great in our fire cider that we make to help with colds and flus. It's immune boosting, helps clear mucus from your chest. As you can see, we've got some little babies here, so I'm going to give them a water and a feed and make some banana bread. So I have 4 smushed bananas, 4 eggs, and a teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now today I'm going to be adding some crushed nuts. These are pecans and almonds. I'm going to grate in this bit of sweet potato, and I am going to add a grated apple. Take this home and hopefully I'll see if I can get the kids to enjoy it. So I added all my sneaky ingredients. I'm now going to add about half a cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of raw honey, and continuously adding the white flour until I've got a thick cake batter consistency. Then going to pop it into a lined bread tin, and pop that in the oven at 190 until it's nice and golden brown. It normally takes about 30 minutes. I was sure to cut off the top of the sweet potato and not the bottom, because with that I'm going to pop some toothpicks in, suspend it in water, and hopefully it'll grow some runners that I can plant and we can have sweet potatoes through the winter. It's now 12 o'clock and I have one more job to do, dressings, before heading home for lunch with the kiddies. And first things first, when we get home, now it's Sunday, which is our naughty day, so we are having a fry up for lunch. I've used my spiralizer to spiral 2 potatoes, and I'm just going to soak these in water and let all the starch come off. I absolutely love my spiralizer, and as you can tell, so does Vincent. So we're just going to soak these in water, and then I'm going to add some seasoning to these, some flour and some crushed up cornflakes to make our hash browns. And as the little man was so enamored by the spiral potato bits, we're going to stick a carrot through for him, and he can have some spiralized carrot to go with his lunch. So, time to fry up our fry-up in some coconut oil, feed the kiddies, and then on to my next project. And we're making a yeast starter because I'm not finding that yeast is readily available, or I'd rather just actually use a fresh starter. So what we're doing now is we're adding equal parts of flour to water. This is water I boiled and let sit over 24 hours as I didn't have any filtered water or spring water. So I weighed out 85 grams by weight of water, tarred my device rather, and then added 85 grams of flour. Gave that all a good mix in, and then just popped it on the side next to my fermented tomatoes, and I will stir that continuously throughout the day, and then every consecutive day until my yeast starter is active, I will continue this process. So each day I will add equal parts water, equal parts flour, give it a good mix up, and pop it back on the side. Now, you do want a jar with a lid, however you don't want it to be completely sealed. So I'm just going to take the rubber stopper off this and just pop the lid back over so no bugs can get into it, but the process can still have oxygen in, and I believe it's carbon dioxide out. So that's popped on the side with the fermented tomatoes. Now, I didn't get around to filming that bit, but it's literally as easy as a mason jar with the tomatoes from the garden that we're not going to be able to eat. I had a whole bowl of them, some that are still ripening, and all I did was a mixture of water, 2 different types of salt. I used Himalayan sea salt and a black salt. Both of them are untreated, unbleached, not messed with at all, so they help the fermentation process. Added a couple of garlic cloves and some herbs out the garden and popped them on the side. It's now 2 o'clock and time for a quick snack, and as you can see, the new banana bread recipe went down a treat. Now that's done, it was time for me to filter out the fire cider I made. However, it appears I deleted that video, and it was about 2 in the morning when I was making it, so I must have been tired. Now, I take 5 mils of this every day. However, we also keep some on hand for the kids when they're not feeling well. I will post a link to the video I did on a version of my recipe. But we've got fresh ginger, fresh garlic, a full onion, some thyme out the garden. We've got some rosemary. This is also dried rosemary out of the garden. I just reused one of the other tubs. We've got some star anise. We've got some chilies. We've got cinnamon. These are actual cinnamon sticks. Some cumin seeds, some turmeric, some cloves. And we've got some clear honey. I didn't have the raw honey with me. So we're going to infuse this all, except for the honey, in some apple cider vinegar for about 12, as many hours as you can actually leave it. Remember to get the organic apple cider vinegar with the mother, or of course you can make your own. I will do a video on how we do that. Once that's infused for 24 hours, we're then going to drain out all those herbs, and then we add the honey and mix it in. And like I said, I take 5 mils a day and keep some in the fridge in case the kids get sick. Don't forget to date and refrigerate. And while the kids are distracted, I'm off out to the garden to reseed that area where the grass had died down. And we are going to harvest some herbs that we're going to freeze and preserve. I'm starting with our Italian blend. So we'll have some rosemary, some thyme, some sage. And we're going to take them back in and make some herb ice cubes to keep for when we need them, when the herbs have all died back in winter. So back in the kitchen, I have pulled off most of the leaves on my rosemary. I am going to leave those first couple. Now, I cut the stems with a little bit of the old wood or the hardwood, so it's a bit brown and then green at the top. So I've got a small garden pot here filled with a very light soil. I've mixed it quite a lot with perlite. And then I'm just going to trim those above a node and just pop them in the soil. And I normally have about a 50% success rate with propagation. So hopefully from these 9 or so stems, I should get another 4 to 5 rosemary plants to keep in the greenhouse over winter. Now with cuttings, I will pre-moisten the soil, and then I always use a stick to make the hole first, or a chopstick in this case, so that I don't damage those stems when they're going in. I trimmed off quite a bit of thyme, so I'm going to take out the bunches that I want to go in the ice cubes, and then a large bunch of it I'm just going to hang up in the kitchen to dry. Not only does it make the kitchen smell quite nice, but it's also great to just use when it's dry in our stews, our soups, or whatever cooking we're doing. So I'm cheating today. I'd normally cut these up, but instead I'm going to use my food presser for ease. So we'll give that a quick clean, and then in here I'm going to pop all my herbs, top it up with a little bit of water, and then we'll pop them in our ice cube tray, stick them in the freezer. Once they're all nice and set, I do take them out the ice cube trays and stick them into another one of these reusable freezer bags and pop them back in the freezer. So A, I can reuse the ice cube tray, and B, they're much easier to store that way, easier access. And that brings us on to 4:30, just enough time to knock up a korma style curry for the kids with some homemade pita bread or homemade naan, and a nice hearty stew with the rest of the chicken and a homemade loaf. Then it's back to work I go. Thank you guys for coming back to The Herbothecary. It was great to see you again. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.